7 bus riding, orange lining ass niggas. Little niggas lead a record, turn to flocking ass niggas. I'm a scrunchy sock name, play flossing ass niggas. Really got it out these streets, I'm the San Diego anthem maker. Bitches shaking ass from little darlings at the Pacers. Barely see the beach, a legendary movement. Spring Valley nigga got the city going stupid.
Bitch, I'm from DAGO without the Y in it. And I'm a real rude nigga, add the pie with it. And I barely see the beach like the Ryan nigga. Now I won't listen to your song cause you're lying, nigga. Biggest in the city without trying. 92 and flying, 16 G before my time. So you can't mention San Diego without June, nigga. I held birth this shit without a womb, nigga.
I'm up on the west side of the 805 freeway. And on the top of the 8 where it's known to get great. And I'll be all through the county just trying to get paid. I'm so San Diego like a motherfucking padre. I hit the 619 from my corner side of fries. Hey, good trips, know where you at when you ride. You hit the tail tap in, so it's good when you slide in this. Fuck your city if you hating on mine.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor Series review show. I am your host, Jimmy T. As you can see, I'm not on camera for some reason. I think I accidentally unplugged it for a moment, but I'll get that fixed in a moment. And my co-host, he is the magnanimous, the glorious, the Professor Chabelo Vera Cruz. Welcome back to the HMG shows, and welcome to the Survivor Series review show. Prof, what's going on? I put out the bat signal and you responded.
You put out the bat signal, Jimmy, and the Professor, had to go down the bat pole, had to tell Alfred, you know what, keep my food ready in the microwave, keep it warmed up, because I had to help out Jimmy T, I had to help out the Hami Knights, and I had to do the Survivor Series WarGames review show. And you know what? Happy to be here, happy to help you out, happy to keep chatting with the Hami Knights. And you know what, Jimmy? Before we even get into this review show, I'll say this. I think the parameters of what's going on with this weekend's Survivor Series is really not about the pay-per-view itself, or the PLE, whatever you want to call it. It's more about the reactions of the fans. It's more about the reactions of the IWC. It's more about the reactions of content creators and all that stuff, because everybody's got an opinion. And the overall opinion about it, I already seen on the chat. I think this thing Texas already started it. He said it was mid. It was mad. And you know what? This thing Texas, you are welcome to that opinion. And I'm not even saying you're wrong, but that's the overall theme, Jimmy. Everybody's a little bit underwhelmed and disappointed with Survivor Series. And I can understand that frustration. And the one thing I'll say, and hopefully Paul Levesque is listening, because I know he listens. I know he has people, spying on the Hami Media group chats. He has those spies wanting to get some insight and some info of what people are going to say. I want to give it to you for free because I give Tony Khan free advice on the wreckage every weekend as the special guest star. So I'm just going to say this. Jimmy, you and I have been watching WWE pay-per-views for 20 plus years. We know. I'm just saying. I've watched it since WrestleMania 1. I've seen pay-per-views of wrestling shows from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s and today.
Yeah.
But look at it this way. Since WWE has gone to ESPN app, and I'm not paying for that. I find my way to watch Survivor Series. I use those 3 most dangerous letters out there, the VPN, with my Netflix account. But you know what I'm saying, Jimmy? It's like when you see the presentation of a pay-per-view, the commercial breaks and stuff like that, it kind of defeats the purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's too much. As much as we complain on the AEW side of, let's say, I'll use the example, there's an overabundance of blood, and it devalues it, right? There's an overabundance of paid advertisements. There's an overabundance of breaks. And for 4 matches, and mind you, Hami Knights, I'm sorry to be on a harangue, Jimmy, but I'm just saying, to compare Survivor Series 1987 with 2025, Survivor Series 1987, Jimmy, had 4 matches itself too. But that was a different time. That was a different crowd. We expected a break. We expected, once the match was over, you could go into the concession stand, get popcorn, get soda, go to the bathroom, come back to your seat, and then you're ready for the next one. Today's fans, you know what? Maybe we're spoiled. Maybe we expect too much. But again, you got to feed the consumers the right way, Jimmy. The breaks suck. The breaks are too long. 4 matches doesn't work in 2025. Maybe you could have added a fifth match. What happened to Ilya Dragunov? You didn't do a U.S. Open challenge on Friday. You could have incorporated a U.S. Open challenge on Survivor Series. I'm sure the 45,000 at Petco Park would have loved it. You get what I'm saying? There's certain little nuances. There's certain little things you need to fix. Because again, I'm not complaining because again, I already paid my Netflix account, so I don't feel cheated, Jimmy. But you know there are going to be people in the IWC that's going to complain, and they're going to still harp that voice. They're still going to be loud and keep harping on this. I feel sorry for anybody who pays $1,000 to go to Petco Park because eventually, you know, the difference is in 1987, a family of four paid $50. That's $200, Jimmy. And you know that's still a lot of money in 87 times. But if you're paying $1,000 for a family of four, that's $4,000 out of your pocket. You expect more. You expect greatness. You expect entertainment. You are not going to shell out that much if you don't have an expendable income. That's all I'm saying, Jimmy. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry, I didn't want to go on that harangue.
No, please. I don't mind. As a matter of fact, our very own lab rat, who's part of the chat, he went to Survivor Series and he sent me a lot of pictures via social media, and he paid like $412, I think it was, for on the floor for about 10 rows back.
That's not bad.
Not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, I agree. I think it's not bad. And I just
but he paid $400. He paid $100 per match. The math ain't mathing. The math ain't mathing. And I'm not making fun of Labrat. I'm just giving him like, you paid $100 for 4 matches per. That's not good.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. The Irish Return says 20 years rookies. Only thing worth watching in Survivor Series was Nikki Bella, period, for me. I said double that. We're just making a reference number 20 years plus. It's been more like 40 years, really, for us artists, just quietly. I mean, we didn't want to show our age, you know, we're still young. Come on.
Of course, we're young and handsome out there.
Yeah, absolutely. The artist says also, though, 400 for nosebleeds here in DC for Cena's last match. Wow.
That's a moneymaker, Jimmy. You know that's gonna be that's a big ticket getter right there, and it's almost sold out. Even for reselling, that's a good thing if you get 400 for the nosebleeds. But it's still gonna be the same issue. You know how many matches you're gonna get for $400 in the nosebleeds compared to $1,000 or maybe $1,200 on the floor. There's a difference. Again, you might want to do it once for a lifetime experience, but then you're gonna feel cheated. It's like, you know, not to be rated X here, Hami Nice. I'm sorry about that. But if you're going to pay for an escort service, you're going to pay top quality. And then you get VD. You get some venereal disease after the fact. What the hell? You pay for top quality. I'm just saying.
Wow. Well, Arakara Blue says also, he says, Jimmy T, I looked it up to 220 section for section 400 WrestleMania tickets, the cheapest ones. 227? For like a nosebleed, pretty much for section 400, that's pretty far. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's nuts. I don't get it. It's WrestleMania, right? I mean, shit. If I could even see the nosebleeds for Mania, I'd pay that much because I've never been. You know what I mean? Personally.
But again, let's be real, Jimmy. I mean, even for Survivor Series, I'm not saying like Lab Rat did this, but maybe he waited until it got closer. You know what I'm saying? You got closer when the prices went down because again, you're not gonna pay. Let's say if those floor seats for Lab Rat, right, was $1,500, maybe like the first day the sale was open, right? You're not gonna do that. You'll wait. No. Maybe you'll wait till maybe a month before, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks before when the prices go down to something more comparable for your own expenses. You know, that's what fans are doing right now. They're waiting maybe the day of, maybe the week of, to this way to buy those tickets.
Well, Frank says, Frank Tish, 1085 says, PLEs are a fucking joke. It is a glorified house show. No, we are not entertained. It was too predictable. Wow.
Again, well, we had this talk, Jimmy. Sometimes predictable is
You
safe.
did.
Sometimes
Right.
predictable matters better. And here's another thing. And this, I'm not even saying that Frank is wrong. Like again, this is a subjective viewpoint. But I even saw that kind of a talking point within the IWC. Again, I think the news, Jimmy, is not about the show itself. I think it's more about the IWC. It's more an intervention from the professor trying to calm down the fans. Again, I'm not trying to be a shill for WWE, but again, you know, maybe again we were spoiled with the Attitude Era, but again, maybe people it's revisionist history because they kind of make it seem like the Attitude Era was like every week there was a surprise. No, it wasn't. Every week there was a schmoz. Every week there was a clusterfuck. I can give you that almost. But not every week was a surprise. You had to save your surprises. You had to save those big ass moments for for your big pay per views. Don't get me wrong, Survivor Series is a big pay per view. But here's the point: what Triple H wanted to get out of it, right? You wanted to paint a picture. You wanted to tell your story going into WrestleMania, and Triple H got that point across in the men's War Games. You got a feeling where they want to go. That's what Triple H wanted to do. We got technically a surprise. We'll talk about that later, how many nights. But again, how much more entertainment do you need or require? But again, that's the difference. Again, if you're in the arena paying $400, you want that. That's your expectations. But you and me, Jimmy, we're watching it via Netflix. We're watching it via VPNs. So the price is a little bit smaller. So it's not like, oh my
A lot
God.
smaller.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
a lot smaller. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm paying all this money for nothing. I see it a little bit differently. But if you're in the crowd, I get you. I understand that sentiment. But again, if you're watching it on TV, we've watched, like you said, we've watched it for a long ass time. But revisionist history is revisionist history, Jimmy. I'm just keeping it real because if you can't, if there's an overabundance in AEW of blood and we're getting devalued, there will be an overabundance of surprises and unpredictability, which then that devalues it. I mean, what? You want Raw to have a surprise? You need SmackDown to have a surprise? It's almost like every week you're expecting a bigger surprise, and then you'll actually be mad at the level of the surprise. We're going to get to
Right.
that point. You got to keep it leveled. Level headed, how many nights? Keep it even keel. Let the story progress. That's all I will say. Not to say it was a good show, Jimmy, but I'm just saying I like the word safe. I've heard that term. It was a
That's
safe
makes sense.
show. They had to do it the way that had to be done. Could have been better? Yeah, of course. We'll talk about how it could have been better. But it's a safe show, but it's progressing towards their biggest show.
No, absolutely. And Labrat, thank you for joining us. Well, I was just talking about you, funny enough, how I was explaining how you went there and you were sending me all these pics. So I appreciated that, man. But I want to know who, Labrat, feel free in the chat. Like, tell us who got the biggest pop, according to you, since you were right there. Was there any surprises that you felt was a surprise? Did you enjoy the show? Most importantly, since you were right there from the SD, from the 619. And but yeah, look, it looks like now, I mean, personally, it wasn't a bad show. I mean, I won't say it was a bad show. It was safe, actually, like Frank said. That's actually a good way of putting it. It was very safe, right? It was predictable, of course. But like we were saying on Direct Edge,
Boy.
like boy, just before, like literally earlier in the morning, sometimes predictability is good. You know what I mean? If it makes sense. And it made sense. Like all the wins all made sense. I mean, I don't think I got any match wrong in my predictions, man. Even to the point of Dom retaining because of Liv. And I mean, what can you say? There was only 4 matches. I mean, do you guys want more even? And there could have been more, actually, Prof, to be honest, like you said before. Where was Dragunov? Heck, where's even Jay Cargill? You know what I mean? You could have fit a lot more. Are we getting to a point now that are we really complaining that it's not long enough? Even though personally, me, I like this format, but I could have sworn years and years ago they fit at least 7 matches in 3 hours.
They did fit like 7 matches in 3 hours. I think again, one offers less, which is WWE, and one offers too much, which makes you tired. It exerts your energy and all that stuff. And it's a chore. One's a chore, and this one's like one side offers you a big plate, like it's like a Thanksgiving dinner. They overstuff you on Thanksgiving, and you can't eat the goddamn plate. And then the other side, which is the WWE, offers you a small portion of it, and you're still hungry for more. That's what it is. So that's the way I look at it, and look at it from this way. The only thing I could say that WWE still gets right, I don't care what anybody says, is like it's 3 hours. It was 3 hours and 15 minutes. Maybe 4 hours they go the most. But that's it. They stick to that time limit. They stick to their guns. They don't overkill it. And that's why, again, the good thing about the Triple H side is that you don't see a lot of those stars. But then Triple H uses them. Wait, let me change it, because again, Triple H does something differently that a lot of people either don't recognize or don't want to see for themselves, Jimmy. And I'll break it down. Right. He uses SmackDown, the PLE, and Raw as the whole thing, the whole shebang-a-bang. So while there's 4 matches for Survivor Series, Jimmy, look at this way. SmackDown, you had your Survivor Series Eliminator match, right? You had a couple of segments over there. And then Raw coming up will be the Raw after Survivor Series. So Triple H uses the whole weekend as a Survivor Series thing. The problem with that, nothing wrong with you and me, Jimmy. We're watching it on Netflix. But the problem is you're not going to travel with WWE for Friday, then Saturday, and then Monday, because that's too much money. You don't have that expendable income, so that doesn't work for you. It just works for the viewing customer. It doesn't work for the traveling customer. That's why you feel cheated more.
Right, for sure. Lambert brings up an interesting point. He says, show seems super fast for us at the stadium, almost perfect pacing. I like that. But he also went on to say that the attendance seemed about right, but it was like 85 to 95% sellout. There was a few empty sections. So, I mean, it's pro wrestling. They always inflate numbers regardless. It is what it is.
Of course they do.
Right. But he also said they should have had 2 tournament matches on the show. I really think they should have had some Survivor Series matches on the show, the traditional Survivor Series matches. Even though me growing up as a kid, I'll be honest, I was never the biggest fan of the traditional Survivor Series matches. Even from when I was young, it felt a bit, how do I put it? Dragging, a bit of a slog, you know what I mean? When you have like 5-on-5.
But it's funny, Jimmy, because you had so much of that early on, and then you got tired of it, and now we're at this point where you're missing it. Everybody's like, "Man, where is those traditional elimination matches?" Let me just say this. But now everybody was complaining about, God damn it, we haven't had War Games in so long, and now we're getting to the point where people don't want the War Games to be overinflated every Survivor Series, because you don't need it. It's a big payoff match. Like these 2 War Games matches, Jimmy, do you honestly think we needed it in a War Games type of environment? The elimination matches would have just been way perfect, just like you're talking about. It would have fit the moniker and all that stuff. We did not need a cage for all this stuff. The War Games is a brand. They're branding it as a War Games just to sell tickets and to bring it to the stadiums. Is Triple H going to stop the tradition? I don't think so. Of course, it's going to make them money, and people are going to pay their money to buy a ticket and all that stuff. So I'm not blaming them. But again, as the IWC will complain it's too much and it's overabundance, again, I'm the most objective man, Jimmy. So I call it as like I see it. There's too much blood on one end. It's too many War Games every year.
Yeah, well, like Cruz says in the chat, I'm tired of War Games. War Games shouldn't be annual. Look, the thing is, they didn't build this right. To be fair, sorry to steal that off you once again, Prof.
To be fair.
To be fair. But let's be real. I mean, do you feel it was a little bit rushed in terms of this being a blood feud and whatnot? Because it didn't really feel that personal, except for maybe a few of the wrestlers that are involved. But for Brock, it was just another match for Brock, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul, it's not that personal even with him, even though I think he has a lot to do with the mysterious guy in the main event, actually, Prof. And I'll get to that when we do. But
look at it from this standpoint. The women's, I agree with you, it was rushed, right?
Right.
The men's, I think people are looking at the participants in the wrong light. The War Games actually, the men's War Games match was set up beautifully because it's about the connection to Paul Heyman. Everybody has a history with Paul Heyman. Everybody has had a connection with Paul Heyman in some way, shape, or form. You got the Bloodline, you got Brock, you got Punk, you got Cody. There is a interconnecting storyline with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman, I would call him the puppet master. If they that would have been the better poster, but it wouldn't like he's the puppet master with the strings, putting the strings of the Vision and his side and Brock, and on the other side with Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. It was all about Paul Heyman, but they just didn't want to put it that way. They wanted to put it. They wanted to focus on the Vision. They wanted to focus on Bron Breakker, and they want to focus on Logan Paul, and they wanted to focus on Roman Reigns. He's cashing in on it. He's doing a favor for Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and shit like that. But it was all about Paul Heyman. It was all about that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree for sure. When it comes to that, it was all about the Heyman family, if you want to call it that. Thank you, Labrat. Yeah, I wore the hat just for you, man. I said I was going to wear a Padres hat. It's in San Diego. So I thought I'd do it. Labrat also said, speaking of Paul, did you see him shoving a kid out of his way?
Paul Heyman. That. Yeah. No, that was after the show went off the air. Like, they were trying to get to the dugout, like locker room area, and this kid just kind of like snuck through, and then Paul Heyman just pushed him out of the way. So, I mean, you can look at it one or two ways. You can say that Paul Heyman's keeping it kayfabe, trying to be that heel. So it's a small kid. He's like 8 to 10 years old. So it's kind of funny if you look at it from that standpoint. But then you get people saying like, "Oh, Paul Heyman's a dick, man. You shouldn't do that to a kid. It's all about the kids and stuff like that." Man. You can't have it both ways. The IWC cannot have it both ways. You can't say keep it kayfabe and then complain that he's pushing a kid. So hopefully that kid was someone that he knew that's probably like a production assistant. So like he was a plant. Like the kid was a plant for the moment. I hope that's the case. But if he pushed the kid, yeah, it's a dick move from him to do that. But he's trying to keep a character. That's what you're supposed to do. So, pick your poison on that.
For sure, man. Arakara Blue, thanks, man. I'm there in spirit. So cool. When the SD had Jimmy T. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm 619 all the way now, bro. But anyway, yeah, look. The artist says something interesting. Back in the day, the Road Warriors were coming through the crowd, and I ran up to them with about 10 other kids, all of us around 11 years old at the time. And Animal just did this big swing that cleared us all out. But were they heels at the time or baby faces? Is our heels totally like a heel thing to do, right? I mean, come on.
Dude, I went to an ECW show. If you remember the tag, and I'm in my teens. I'm in my late teens and all that stuff, but I'm still a kind of skinny person, right? Right. And, I was close to like primetime Brian Lee. He's a 6'10", 300-pound dude. I'm like a foot away from the Bruise Brothers. Both 6'10", 6'11", big dudes with bushy hair. I was so close they could push me. But I'm not going to complain like, oh, my God, I'm going to sue them. Or, oh, my God, this shit is wrong. What the hell are you doing? I was in the moment, but I'm in the moment. Maybe I'm older. I'm in my late teens. But if I was 10 or 11 years old, I would still feel the same way. I would be scared of them. I'd be like, oh, shit, don't push me. But it would be funny. I would be laughing. I wouldn't be crying about that shit. And that kid didn't even cry. He was just pushed away, and that was it.
Well, look at Stan Hansen, for example, the way he used to come out charging the crowd, man, with his friggin' bull rope and shit, especially in Japan.
Oh, you want to talk about scary? You want to talk about scaring people? How many nights? Just YouTube Andre the Giant in New Japan. The motherfucker cleared the aisles. They were scared. Kids were scared of Andre the Giant.
Scary.
Right, but they did it. They cleared the room. They cleared the aisles for Andre when he went through the crowd. So it goes both ways.
Absolutely, man. Maybe they should do more of that shit. I mean, it's not the same because the crowd's not like the way the entrances are done now. It's impossible.
No, you can't. You can't do it because again,
People
lawsuit. Yeah, they'll sue. They'll sue for they'll say for damages, for injuries and shit like that. Pain and suffering, mental anguish doesn't work today. Doesn't work with today's generation.
language. Oh god, that's crazy. The times we live in. But you know what? I don't know if you know this, Prof. But WWE, their fireworks go wrong quite often. I don't know if you realize that, where it's hit people and people have died actually from heart attacks and whatnot. And WWE have had a lot of lawsuits because of that. You should look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up, man. You'll be surprised at how many incidents that's happened that we just don't hear about. So this shit does happen.
I mean, no, those lawsuits happen not only in WWE but in all legit sports, NFL, NBA, MLB. That fan experience. Some people die in those stadiums and arenas. It happens. Some people get fatally injured in those arenas. Soccer, I can think of right now, FIFA soccer games. You could get fucking, the fucking ball is coming at you 100 miles an hour. You can get a concussion. You can fucking, split your head open or some shit like that. But you'll sue. You'll sue FIFA. You'll sue the World Cup.
True story. I'm glad you brought that up because I've been on the receiving end, but I've also done it to people. Oh, it's an accident, but a good example. Even D, my significant other, she was this years ago. I'm going back 20 years ago. We were just kicking a soccer ball around. At the time, I was playing soccer like for a club, and I'm just practicing. She was in goals as a goalkeeper. I kicked that ball so hard, man, that it actually broke her hand. so literally, I mean, it happens. And even my friend, he's a Samoan dude. It's Samoan. His hand was fucked from one of my kicks, man.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, bro. That's a true story. So it hurts.
He knew you didn't have enough money to get sued, right?
Well, yeah. And look, it happens. I actually bought goalkeeper gloves. So anytime my friends want to go in goals, here, man, take these. But yeah, you can underestimate a ball. I've had one go right into my face, man. I don't know if I was concussed or not, but damn, you're dazed. Absolutely.
It goes both ways.
Absolutely does. Jimmy is a kangaroo. I wish, bro. Then I'll be bouncing over the balls and shit. But anyway, let's get into Survivor Series proper, though, shall we? Because we do start off with the women's WarGames matchup right off the bat. But this time there was no shark cages, unfortunately, Prof. I mean, do you think that's a better move? That didn't have the wrestlers in a cage, just in the aisle area?
I think the problem with the setup of Petco Park was where were you going to put the shark cages?
It was weird too, the setup in a way.
So, and if they wanted to add additional seating, the shark cages would have not fit in that kind of small aisleway. And of course, they were coming out of the dugout. So again, it kind of made it for difficult ways to rehearse. Kind of made it for difficult ways for the presentation because you saw they had to come in at an angle and then and curve it. So, it was a long way to come down to the center of the ring and stuff like that. So the shark cages wasn't needed. But I'll say this because since we're going to talk about the women's WarGames match, again, I don't want to compare with AEW's women's WarGames, but again, I said this on the record weeks ago. I said the AEW ones are going to be better than these. And this was a good example of this. But the biggest reason why this women's WarGames match was a little bit, as this ain't Texas said, mid or meh, was the psychology was way ass backwards. Yeah. I hated the fact that the babyfaces had the advantage. It doesn't work. This is tradition. There's certain things that I can adapt to, Jimmy, and the Hami Nights can understand this. There's certain things that change with the times, but there's certain things of tradition that just works. It just makes money. It just makes sense. The heels have got to have the man or woman advantage all the time. That's all I keep asking for. That's all you need. It just sells itself. It tells the story itself because it just makes you look at it fundamentally. Why are two baby faces beating the shit out of a heel? It just doesn't look right. It never will look right.
Pro wrestling today is ass backwards, bro.
It is. Again, I just don't understand that. I understand you're trying to change, unpredictability, Jimmy. That's what they want to do. Anything could happen, but this is a predictable scenario that just is needed. The heels need to have the advantage, and this is what sucked about it. I don't mind that Charlotte and Asuka started out with the first. And of course, at least I'll say this with this women's war game match. What was better than the Blood and Guts women's match, Jimmy, was that Triple H said, you know what? You're not gonna have all those weapons. Pick your weapons, and that's all you're gonna have. All you saw was a chain. All you saw was a trash can and a trash can lid. That's as far as it went. I'm glad that they kept the weapons to a minimum, and I'm glad that they just kept it in the ring. You know what I'm saying, Jimmy? That's all that you needed. Now, the one thing again that's getting a little bit hokey for this How Many Nights, and you'll understand this, is I love Iyo Sky, Jimmy. She's always the MVP of the War Games, but then it's like Kofi Kingston for the Royal Rumble, right? You were expecting like Iyo Sky to have a trash can spot. Why? That again, don't do that. Iyo Sky, and then the danger of it is I'm just glad that Iyo Sky just says, you know what? If that's enough for me, if that's enough that's all you want from me, I'll do that. I hope that Iyo Sky does not say, you know what? I need to top the trash can spot. I need to do more than just the trash can spot. I need to carry a table the next time, or I need to carry a fucking chain or something like that. No, but again, if that's all she's worth for, then she doesn't need to be in the War Games match. That's all I'm saying, Jimmy. Again, you're right. It is what it is. This was a rush thing. This could have been an elimination match, which would have been way, way better and all that stuff. You could have told way better stories and shit like that. So,
the psychology aspect, definitely.
Yeah, it was a clusterfuck and all that stuff. Iyo Sky actually botched a top rope spot, and I noticed that, and she kind of recovered a little bit. But again, she's trying to one up herself, and that's the danger of it, Jimmy.
And she did.
Right. War Games is a cage match. You don't need anything more than that. You got the corner top rope spots. Keep it simple. Simplicity works, How Many Nights, and the people in the chat can agree with that sentiment. You know what I'm saying, Jimmy? I mean, like you look, and again, the problem with it, with the baby faces having the man the woman advantage. I don't want to sound sexist for the female How Many Nights out there, but
2025 now, bro.
I know, or they non-binary. It goes both ways too. Right. But the babyface advantage just kind of like messed up the whole flow of the match, the whole pacing of the match. And again, I was actually surprised that the cleaner was Lash Legend, but I understood why, because she had less experience, but she would not get the kind of pop that I think people expect. I think she would have been better off coming up like maybe the number 3 spot. You know what I mean? Nia Jax should have been the cleaner. She should have been the bruiser coming in to, come out and beat the shit out of everybody and all that stuff. I think Lash,
you know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, she's the hot tag. She's coming in to clean house. Lash Legend needed to come into the middle, so this way you protect her. Like, she needs to make and plus she needed to make an impression. I understood why Triple H wanted to put her as the cleaner, because she could do all those high impact kicks and shit like that. But again, not a lot of people watch NXT. Not a lot of people know who Lash Legend is. She made these kind of dainty appearances on SmackDown and stuff like that. But again, you know how those people are. They troll and say, "Who's that? Who's that with Nia?" Introduce us. We need, introduce us. We need video packages and shit like that, Jimmy. That's the thing. I think Lash Legend was in the wrong spot. I think she would have been more suitable as the number 3 person, not the number 5 person.
Well, like Cruz says, enough of the trash can spotting War Games. And you know what? Should WWE go with the roof, like, back in the old NWA, WCW War Games, how we used to have the roof over the cage where you would stop all that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't they put the roof back on the freaking cage, man? Well,
Iyo Sky made a name for herself going off the top of the cage. So you don't you can't have the roof.
I guess, but that's the real War Games. That's what it should be, with the roof. I will say I was impressed with the moonsault with the damn friggin' trash can on her, because she pulled that off pretty well, man. Like, it was perfect, really.
But again, to be fair here,
to be fair, actually, but yeah.
But today's generation is like, I can understand the nice, funny spot where Rhea Ripley is kind of like picking up AJ Lee to hand Iyo Sky the trash can and all that stuff to do that spot. Right. But then you got all the ladies watching and waiting. If I'm gonna complain on one side, Jimmy, I'm gonna be fair here. It's just kind of stupid to like do, just to wait
No, it's
to
just
be
wait.
moonsaulted on. Yeah,
Right. No,
catch
it's
me.
stupid.
Just to,
Right.
again, make it look stupid. And again, today's generation of wrestlers, and you saw this in Blood and Guts, you saw this here in War Games. Everybody takes a rest.
Oh, I hate that, dude.
One or two ladies were working each other on one side of the ring, and then 4 or 5 ladies are like down watching. I don't like that. It's just
I hate that, dude. It never used to
the
be like that either, man. With the
no.
old War Games, right?
The
It's
old War
crazy.
Games, everybody just went to a corner and punched each other out and all that
Yeah.
stuff. You paced yourself, but you was punching. You was live. You was alive and punching and all that stuff, or putting your head to the cage trying to draw that blood. You're not doing
Right.
it in today's generation. It just is
No
weird.
grinding. No grinding, man. No fucking grinding
No.
with the head like a cheese fucking crater. But yeah, I know. It's I hate to say it, but it's kind of PG War Games. You know what I mean? Like they could
Yeah,
do so much
but
more with these War Games, man. They could have done so much, but
But unfortunately, Jimmy, we living in a world where WWE has shareholders, they have stockholders, they have sponsorships, and those
right.
sponsorship partners do not like the excessive violence, the excessive blood. They'll pull their funding, they'll pull their money, they'll pull the agreement, and WWE doesn't want to do that. They don't want to take away that money away from themselves. So they have to appease their sponsors and stuff like that. I know people will bitch and complain, but it is what it is on that.
What Gross says it's great value War Games.
Yeah.
And the artist says trash can spot just epitomize WGs in general, predictable trash.
That's a play on
War
words, Jimmy,
Games.
right there. Predictable trash right there. And a trash can spot.
But it was impressive though. Come on, boys, you got to give her that. It was still impressive. But anyway, nevertheless, the baby
I
faces.
also, but I did like the chain spot where they wrapped them around. They wrapped the girls around and then do the spots there. So I like that, incorporating that weapon. So I'm not saying it was original, but I like they incorporated that.
Right. I just want to say one more thing about Lash Legend too. Have you noticed? Have they sort of toned her down a little bit in terms of muscle mass? Do you feel? Are they trying to make it look more little feminine? Maybe because of Jade Cargill, they don't want it to be exactly like Jade. Where, because I think if Lash was to be super ripped right now, she might
Hmm.
look even more impressive than actually Jade Cargill, man.
Are you saying they all look alike, Jimmy? That's what you're
No,
trying to
no,
say?
no, no. I think initially, hey, watch it, Prof, because I could get heat for saying that.
That's what
Suddenly
I'm
I'm
saying.
racist. But no, not like that. Not like that. But
I know.
yeah, okay, look alike, but not because of their skin color, but just because they're kind of two of the same type of women, big, strong, and just ass kickers, man. You know what I'm saying? Do you think maybe WWE don't want it to look as great as, say, Jay Cargill does for this, at this moment?
Again, time will tell on how they present her, but again, my issue is she needs to be introduced. She
I
needs those
agree.
video
Just some
packages. She
vignettes,
needs
right?
those.
Yeah.
She needs those video vignettes. WWE does that, so they will
They
do
are the
that in a
best at
future.
it, bro.
Right. They'll do that on a future SmackDown, but again, she got thrust upon to a war game scenario, and I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, but again, just like we will say with AEW people, they'll say that trolling way, who are you? Why should I be invested in you? We didn't get that. We just got like some people were like, why is Nia Jax teaming up with her? What does that mean? Again, not a lot of people watch NXT to understand that. If
Right.
you watch NXT to go into SmackDown, then you understand why there's a friendship, there's a partnership, and all that stuff. But if you don't know, it's like, why is she teaming up? Because Nia Jax is like a loner right now in the last couple of years. Why is she with her? Explain it. Explain yourself a little bit. Yeah, you talked about NXT, but again, explain it even further. Video
Right.
vignettes still help.
No, I agree. I agree. Damn it, I'm getting a phone call right now. If you can hear it from my dad, but I'll get back to him later. The winner though, like Team Rhea, the baby faces do win via submission.
Which
Lynch,
Becky Lynch is protesting though. She's
right? She
protesting that she
feels
did not tap out, and she's
Right.
gonna, protest to the general manager. And I think she's protesting that she's not gonna be on TV anymore until they reverse the decision. So I like that booking right there. But that's a if you're on Twitter, you gotta follow it, Tommy Knights. You gotta follow her on Twitter to understand that's the storyline keeping going. They don't do that on TV enough. That's the thing. That's a good, entertaining storyline, but they're not gonna do it on the Raw.
Unfortunately, no, they won't. Well, we'll see anyway. I am looking forward to Raw, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, she ends up tapping. Well, she got a riptide, and then Lee applies the Black Widow to Lynch, and Lynch submits, and that's that. So the babyfaces get the win. But next, we have the Intercontinental Championship match between Dirty Dom Mysterio and John Cena, who's your champion. While, of course, Dom is your Triple A Mega Campeon. And this match, it didn't go for that long, man. I felt like, was it just me, or did it go pretty quick?
It went for the duration that it needed to, because, again, what Dirty Dom just does, and he's a candidate for the Professor's Perspective Award, Tommy Knights, for career renaissance. He might become a 2-time career renaissance winner. So again, I'm tabulating the votes as we speak right now. But Dirty Dom just gets it. He just understands it. He even kind of like did the spot like the Penta spot, where he did the Huracan Rana on the outside and then faked an injury. Some people, there was a hush, like, oh shit, is it happened 2 weeks in a row where you did that spot and somebody injured their shoulders, and then Dom was so smart enough to use that spot for his own game and stuff like that. Then we see like the Judgment Day are all on the same page for this one particular match, one particular moment. So when you have Raquel and Roxanne on the same page, when you have JD McDonough and Finn Balor on the same page and all that stuff, and then the Piece de Resistance, a surprise, Liv Morgan comes back, and then we, again, now we're remembering what was going on for the past couple of weeks. Now we are already anticipating future Raw episodes, Jimmy, about the contention between Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez and that triangle with the girls of the Judgment Day. But for one moment, Liv Morgan, and then they paid an homage to the WrestleMania spot where Liv Morgan went psychotic, had like a flashback, and her eyes rolled back and shit like that, and kicked John Cena in the nuts. So we can look at it in two ways. We can look at it like, what? Why is John Cena taking an L so close to the end, right? You can look at it from that standpoint, but he did become a Grand Slam champion. He did win in his hometown, so he's paying the favor back to Dirty Dom. And I think the environment, you could not get Dirty Dom booed out of the building. It's 619 country. It's Mysterio country.
Yeah.
People wanted Dirty Dom to win in his hometown, and Dirty Dom did not disappoint. This is why Dirty Dom is like baby goat status right now. Dirty Dom gets it. Dirty Dom has the fans in the palm of his hands, and he's untapped potential. And like I said, I called this like he was going to be a world champion in 2025. I did not know he was going to be a Triple A Mega Campeon, but at least he's a heavyweight champ. I still called it. I still called he was going to be a heavyweight champion in 2025, but neither here nor there. But again, you can look at it like it was a clusterfuck that John Cena had to fight off like 6 people and lost. Yeah, it's kind of hokey on that end, but again, he's doing the favor for Dom. He's doing the favor for the company and all that stuff, because he knows that he has to work that Judgment Day angle. It has to work out. It has to play out. It has to, the slow burn. We are already anticipating the Judgment Day storylines more than Cena's last match, because Cena will still, have his last match at Saturday Night's Main Event. Tonight, the Survivor Series was about Dirty Dom.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was always going to be about Dirty Dom. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like Big Ray, he went with Cena. And I'm like, but why? Why would Cena win? You know what I mean? And then he's like, why would Cena lose 2 matches in a row? Assuming he loses his last match. Okay, because he's on the way out. That's what you do. You put him over. You know what I mean? Whoever it is, right? That's the right thing to do. But okay, man, we're in San Diego. Dom has to win this match, even though, a lot of the guys and girls don't win in their hometowns. But this made sense to go that way. And let's be honest also, Prof. Technically, Cena was already a Grand Slam champion because the US Championship that he first won technically made him a Grand Slam champion. If you win the Intercontinental belt on top, if you win all the belts, what's it called again? Or was it a Mega Grand Slam champion or something like that? There's another term for it.
Again, he never had the Intercontinental title until this year. So, he never had all the titles. So he now has that Grand Slam term under his belt. So, that was WWE's way of saying thank you. Did he need the Intercontinental title? No, he didn't need it. But, John Cena is the kind of guy, he even says it. I don't care. Just, whatever the company needs, I'll do it. I'll try to make it work as best as possible. We might, everybody wanted to book his retirement in a certain way. I know people weren't happy with the way he, the heel turn that didn't really work out. But again, there's nuance to it. We don't need to go into that. But again, this is a nice way to say thank you. John Cena had a great John Cena technically has had a great 2025. 17-time champion and now Grand Slam. You got both of them under your belts.
Look, put all the bullshit aside for half the year because that really was. I just feel like that was so bad for him for having to go through all that pointless crap because that was a waste of half a year, man. Let's be real. That's a real waste of half a year that could have been very intriguing by this point. But
you're damn it. You're damn if you do, and you're damn if you don't. Even if they went the other way, like you're saying, Jimmy, you would see a lot of tweeting about complaining. The IWC just wants to complain. Yeah, right. So nothing would have been perfect. There's no perfect retirement angle. People might say, well, Sting had the perfect retirement in AEW, but you still had a Mark Tar like Tony Khan saying, you know what, I want to give him the right send-off. That's his choice. That's his subjective choice. But John Cena is a little bit different than a lot of people really want to give him credit for. He's like, nah, this is about the company. This is about the crowd. I don't need to go out like that. I just want to give back. That's the way John Cena is.
No, absolutely. 100%. Labrat says if Dom lost, there would have been a riot. I believe that. And also he says, by the way, Chelsea Green's hat was a very popular merch item this weekend. I've heard that it actually is, yeah. Did you buy one, Labrat, just quietly?
Perfect, but a perfect example. She could have been on Survivor Series. She could have had a spot. She could have had a promo spot. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about, Jimmy. Like, again, with the commercial breaks and stuff like that, Chelsea Green didn't need to have a match. She could have had a promo spot. Her and Ethan Page could have been in the crowd being interviewed, talking about how they're the greatest mixed tag team champion of all time and all that stuff. Or just she wanted to celebrate her win in front of Petco Park and shit like that. Certain little nuanced stuff, Jimmy. That's all I'm talking about. And Chelsea Green is entertaining as hell to pull that off.
Well, Labrat says also she was doing meet and greets all week. Good for her, man. Good for her. Well, anyway, Dom does get the win thanks to Liv Morgan and a couple of 619s as well. Thanks to the Judgment Day. Thanks to Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, which was funny because it was weird seeing two chicks absolutely beat the shit out of John Cena. I mean, come on. But it was funny nevertheless. Now, wait.
We have to say this. Dominik Mysterio is the pimp of all pimps. Married to his wife. Got Liv Morgan, his girlfriend. Got Roxanne Perez stalking her, doing anything for her man. Or wants to be her man.
Right.
Dom is the ultimate player. He's the new Godfather. He's got hoes in different area codes.
And the greatest thing about that, his wife is cool with it, man. And they're best friends. They're actually close. All of them are close together. Have you seen that picture of all these girls together? And all over him? That is the best pick, man. But good on him, man. Fuck, he's living the life, man. Literally living the life of a rock star, man, for real. Labrat says Dom has chicken nuggets on deck too. Nice. I hope you had.
I can't wait for WWE to have a deal with Tyson Chicken Nuggets. There's a company called Tyson's Chicken Nuggets, and Dominik's head is going to be on the wrapper. That's what it's going to be.
He's all about the marketing, man. He'd be great as a baby face. You could literally strap that rocket ship on him
Shit, hell no. I mean, you could do Popeye's chicken tenders. The Dirty Dom Popeye's chicken tenders. Spicy.
Can you imagine that? Oh, man. But anyway, and also one more thing before we move on. Did Roxanne, should Liv be upset with Roxanne? He did nothing wrong with Roxanne. Roxanne technically did nothing wrong either.
Stay tuned. It will play out. Don't worry. They will now. She's healthy enough. Now you'll see those storylines play out. This is what Triple H does. Again, some people, I call it the slow burn. But again, if you remember what he does, he kind of wants to continue that story and it will let it play out.
Right. Absolutely. We'll see. Yeah, absolutely. Post match, we see John Cena is shocked at the end. The crowd chants, "Thank you, Cena." Cena now is 0-2 on ESPN since they've joined ESPN. And Cena leaves the ring unsuccessful in his final PLE match. And on December 13, he will have his final match at Saturday night's main event. Thanks, everyone, for being with him on this ride. Yeah, good. I think that was the match of the night, personally. I'm not going to lie. That was, for me, the best match of the evening, even though it was kind of quick for me. Or maybe I enjoyed it that much that it really wasn't that quick because I didn't actually time the match and I don't know how long it roughly went for, but it felt like no more than like 15 minutes.
When you're in Dirty Dom country, that's all that matters. It was Dirty Dom's night.
That's all that matters. The next, though, we got the WWE Women's World Championship matchup between Nikki Bella versus Stephanie Vaquer. What's it to say other than the Devil's Kiss was the highlight on the table for me?
It was a battle of generations. You got Total Divas versus, you could say, the women's evolution or whatever you want to call it. And Stephanie Vaquer, pays homage to more of the women's evolution people like the Four Horsewomen and shit like that. And of course, her success in Mexico and shit like that. So, it's a clash of generations, which is okay. And again, Nikki Bella can, God bless her. She tries her best.
Right.
Funny enough, I wanted Nikki Bella to win just to see how people just kind of like crash out and like get triggered and shit like that. It would have been funny to me, but again, the right woman won. It was the right moment for Stephanie Vaquer to do it. But Nikki Bella, unless you had Twin Magic, unless you had Brie, because that's basically all that was needed for this match, whether it would have worked or not, Jimmy. That's what was basically needed because it was just it was an okay match. It was nothing to really write to. Again, Stephanie Vaquer has got to carry Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella is not one of the most fluid women out there. Again, she tries. I give her A for effort. I give A for the booty. I give A for the booty. Don't get me wrong. She's a MILF. Don't get me wrong. But Stephanie can only do so much in the match, and she did her best to carry that match. She actually had to slow herself down because again, Nikki cannot keep up with her. This is again a new generation of women, a new generation of women athletes like this. Stephanie Vaquer is on a class by herself. Just like the vet says, like Stephanie Vaquer has had a great run in WWE for this year alone. This is just this is a way to increase her legacy. Get what I'm saying? She beat a Hall of Famer, so it just adds more stock to her.
Right, but even though it's a bad matchup, like in terms of like just the way they both wrestle, it's a mismatch. But like you said, and I've been saying this too, I've been saying for months that I'm giving her an A for an effort because she's trying, and I'm talking about Nikki Bella. But that's as far as it goes, man. You know what I mean? She's a lot better than she used to be. Also, I'll give her that. But she's still nowhere near on any of these women on the roster, like on their level, just at all. Like she just isn't. And as far as Brie goes, I don't think we'll ever see Brie in WWE again. As long as Danielson is still in AEW, I just don't see her ever popping up in WWE. It just seems like a conflict of interest at this point, Prof.
Yeah, it could be, but again, Bree's got to do her own thing if she wants to have that one last run. If they're not going to allow her to go on to AEW, then like I said, the match would have been better if they tried that Twin Magic shit. But that's the only thing that was missing because it was a very blasé match and the right woman won.
Oh, absolutely, and she did win via wild spinning corkscrew splash to retain her title via pinfall. Backstage, though, we get a New Day Grayson Waller segment. You know, nothing to really talk about other than they were playing WWE Super Showdown, the card game.
Yeah, they were selling merch. They were doing a commercial spot. So, again, at least they used somebody. It was a live commercial. But again, you don't need to do that. Just do a promo vignette, do a promo spot. Again, it's just wasted airtime right there. That's the thing. Like I said, a lot of people will still, they're gonna complain, Jimmy. It will
Sure will.
the complaints will get louder. And again, fix your structure. Fix the pay-per-view structure, because you used to do it better, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, where you had, interview segments and promo spots. Bend your knees up. Well, Stephanie or Nikki Bella, bend the knees for me. That's all I need. Just bend those knees for me. But again, like I said, it's just the pay-per-view, the way they do the pay-per-view structure, Jimmy, is just, again, with the breaks and shit, that's what makes it look stupid.
It feels like television now, dude. It just feels like a Raw and SmackDown, just with a bit more effort into the matches.
Dude, I keep saying this because thank God for the VPN, but Netflix shows, they're crisp. They're fluid. I love it.
Because we don't get the commercials like in my neck of the woods for Raws. We get a continuation of the show.
You get the continuation of the matches, and you get interview spots, which I love. That's all I'm just saying. Just the way they do it on Netflix with a VPN, do it for the fucking shit, for the pay-per-views, because that's where it's surely needed.
Remember when AJ Styles did that promo, like where he was talking about he's sick of the way he's being booked and all this shit? Did you hear about that? That was done only for the international Netflix audience, right? And you know what's funny? No one in the US, when I did the review with Ray, he didn't even know that promo existed or anything. No one saw it. You know what I mean? I know people did post it eventually online and whatnot, but that was a great promo that the bigger audience, which is the US, didn't even see live at the time, dude.
That's why I said the 3 most dangerous letters in the world is VPN. Get it.
Get it. Yeah, get it. Got it good. Trust me, you won't regret it. But anyway, we'll also get the attendance number of 46,016 are in Petco Park, the biggest number of people to ever witness a Survivor Series show, Prof. Do you think that's the true number, or this be more realistic and say about 38?
Don't worry, Uncle Dave will let us know, because he works diligently to just get those real attendance numbers on the WWE side. And in spite of that, that's what it is. So I wait for that. That's the only truth that Dave Meltzer will tell you.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Wow. Well, we're off to the main event now, Prof. It is the men's WarGames match. It is Team Cody, or was it Team CM Punk? Or was it Team CM Punk? I have no idea, but nevertheless, it is Punk, the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso, that is, and Roman Reigns versus Team Vision, as it's Big Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. We start off with Punk and Bron Breakker, though, surprisingly, in some ways. And again, the heels have the upper hand in this match.
Which is what was needed, which I have no problem with. And again, what I liked about the WarGames matches on the WWE side was Triple H made a conscious effort to make sure the weapons were different from the men and the women. The men got the tables, the men got the chairs, the men got the brass knuckles with Logan Paul. So again, differentiate your weapons. Less weapons, keep it simplistic. And I knew that Cody Rhodes and CM Punk were going to say, you know what, fuck TKO, fuck the shareholders, we're going to bleed because this is the War Games. And again, it mattered. The blood mattered when it matters the most, because you don't see it a lot. So it was a breath of fresh air to see them two bleed. Again, for a little bit here and there, but again, they bled.
And it was Punk and Cody that bled, right?
Right. Punk and Cody was the only one that bled. And fuck it, we have to talk about Bron Breakker, because he almost fucked up his neck. They did the doomsday device on Bron Breakker, and he couldn't torque his back and do a proper flip so he could land on his stomach. And he landed on his fucking neck. And I was like, oh shit, he almost busted his neck. And we hear the reports of what they're trying to elevate Bron Breakker into the main event scene. So, Is it going to be WrestleMania that Bron Breakker will get his, moment in the sun trying to, fight CM Punk for the title? I wouldn't do it for WrestleMania. I probably would do it for Royal Rumble. That's my humble opinion, but neither here nor there. But
he won't win at the Rumble, though.
Yeah. He might not be, well, like I said, he might get the title shot at the Rumble. I would accept that kind of main event, Jimmy, instead of WrestleMania because it makes it more interesting. But again, that's just my humble opinion, but we don't need to talk about that. But I was just worried about Bron Breakker in that next spot. I was like, oh my God, nah. And he, and to his credit, that motherfucker got up and still performed. That's old school right there. If his neck was bothering him and shit like that, and he was doing the spears, so he was already putting more pressure on his neck and shoulder areas. Like, motherfucker, you realize you almost fucked up your neck and you still want to do those spears. He didn't want to ad lib. He did not want to ad lib. He just kept it going. That's old school mentality. He's from the tree of the Steiners.
Absolutely. I was going to say
he only knows one way. He only knows one way. He's like, no, I got to finish the match. I got to do it that way. But I got to give kudos and props to Bron Breakker again. The blood was there, less weapons and shit like that. And when you look at and I like the spot where was it Team Cody? Was it Team CM Punk? Even was it Team Roman or was it Team Reigns? And when you looked at even Cody Rhodes elbowing CM Punk by accident, was it an accident, how many nights? Or was it meant to be? We don't know. But again, they try to give that intrigue. And that's the thing that, on the WWE side is like every little nuance that you see, how many nights, they will explain it and it will progress on TV. Unlike another promotion that just does not progress a storyline or might kind of like talk about it, or your sickos will talk about it. It just doesn't manifest on it. That's what it is.
They go backwards a lot of the times, actually, Prof, with their storylines, which is bizarre for whatever reason. I'm talking about AEW, and at least WWE has some sort of road ahead for most guys. You know what I mean? Unlike earlier this year with the Cena debacle, The Rock, and obviously Travis Scott and whatnot. That's very rare that happens in WWE when it comes to that, because they don't like being embarrassed like that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, there is consistency on one end and a lack of consistency on the other end. And within the WarGames match here, the right people came at the right spots. I had no problem with that. I knew Brock Lesnar was going to be the cleaner. I knew Roman Reigns was going to be the cleaner, for their respective teams and shit like that. Jey Uso, I guess for Petco Park, I think Labrat could attest to that. Probably he was yeeting.
Too much yeeting apparently going on.
There was a mid yeet during the WarGames match, and just said, "Fuck it, let's play the music." So that was a key spot for
dude. I hated even when he came to the ring and he was yeeting instead of having or showing any urgency to get into the match.
I agree with you, Jimmy, but again, remember, we weren't there. So you didn't feel the energy of the Petco Park people. Labrat could attest to that. That's what I'm trying to say. He got caught in the moment of eating. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure he did. He also said there was a lot of bucking going on the floor for Bron. That annoys me too for some reason. Too many dogs in wrestling these days. And also, did you know we were going to get a yeet break? I mean, did you know you were going to get a yeet break? I'm sure it was fun for the fans in attendance. Absolutely, it would have been. But it takes away the psychology of the match a little bit.
It did, but I expected it from WWE because it's all about the entertainment. So you had to at least give a yeet for because again, people were saying like before WarGames was going to happen, like, wait, is Jey Uso going to come down to the crowd and then try to do his yeeting while fucking the people were getting beat down? That would have been stupid. But again, that would have been more to along the lines of Jey Uso becoming a heel and maybe becoming a dick, not caring about his team.
That's different. That would make sense.
Right, that's different, but you can't do that. That's why he's got to run down the aisle and then he's got to yeet during the match. So you had to fit your yeet in somehow, some way. So, they had to clean up that kind of mess.
Well, Labrat said he threw me off for a second, but then everyone was like, fuck it, yeet. I could picture that for some reason. Everyone was like, what? What the fuck? And then you know what I mean?
Peer pressure is a motherfucker. That's what it is. Peer pressure.
It's a real thing. It actually is a real thing. Yes. Well, I mean, what do you think of the match overall, though? I mean, it was better than the women's one, that's for sure. I still don't think it beat Dom and Cena, though.
No, it didn't. I mean, yeah, for what it was worth, I mean, was the match of the night for the crowd purposes, but for storyline purposes, the men's war games was the best match of the night. You had the mystery figure. Who was that? Was that
yes.
Austin?
God,
was that Austin Theory? Was that Chris Jericho? Was that Travis Scott? Making amends. Maybe in the hood. We don't know. Was that I Show Speed because he's been working with Randy Orton? So.
Bro,
Yeah,
there's a show which is WWE produced, but it's under I Show Speed's thing. It's actually it's funny, but kind of weird.
All I'm just saying is it might not be Austin Theory. It could be a lot of people. You never know who could be under that hood. That's what they want to. Again, it's about the intrigue. It's the continuity of that stuff. So, and the mystery man did the curve stomp. He did all the cadences of Seth freaking Rollins and all that stuff. And people were like, "Wait a minute. Did Seth fake this fucking injury and really got me?" I think for a split second, people were like, "Wait, did Seth get us? Did Seth go this far to do this?"
Why would he give up the championship and all that? Like that wouldn't make sense even for a heel.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, but again, if you can I'm just saying for a split second, if you can make a mark card for a split second, doubt themselves, like, "Oh, wait, Seth did this." Then Seth got you. That's all I'm just saying. Seth split second say, "Oh my God, did Seth really do all this just to do what he did in that ring?" But again, we know it's probably Austin Theory and shit like that. So that plays out. And then at the end, Braun pins CM Punk. So we see what goes down the road there. Like I said, I'd rather them do that at Royal Rumble, not WrestleMania, because I don't even think it's not even a night one main event. Definitely not a night two main.
Still possibly for Braun or SummerSlam, the earliest.
Well, maybe, but again, if they rush into because of Seth Rollins' injury, I would do it for Royal Rumble. Again, it's one of the big four pay-per-view Jimmys, and Braun, that kind of main event slot for Braun is perfect there. But again, the look between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, could we get a third in the trilogy for WrestleMania? That's where it goes.
I'm not angry about that if we do, because it's a rivalry that's been stemming now for the last 3-4 years. So I'm not upset with that. I'm down for that. They both gel well. You know what I mean? Why not?
The history is there. The story's been told. They did favors for each other. And it's now Roman Reigns did a favor for Cody Rhodes, technically, or CM Punk, and he owes him. And Roman Reigns has not asked for what payment is it. Which championship is he?
He's going to get his payment back of it soon.
Which championship is he going to get the payment for? So and
they both owe him.
Right, they both owe him. So again, the caveat is, I think we're gonna get the trilogy for WrestleMania, but wouldn't it be more refreshing, Jimmy, to see Roman Reigns against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title?
I would
take advantage. That. You don't know how long Punk has himself in the tank, so use CM Punk for that kind of match, because we've already seen the Cody Rhodes finishing his story. There's no story for Roman Reigns to finish, but there's a story for CM Punk and Roman Reigns, because CM Punk caused the rift between Roman Reigns and the Oracle. So I would rather play off that a little bit first, then go into the Cody Rhodes thing for maybe SummerSlam. But that's just me. Again, I understand you need WrestleMania, you need to sell out the tickets for 50,000 fans, so it is what it is. Marquee names sell out for marquee tickets.
Or could you possibly have a huge night too and have a triple threat match since they both owe him, and for all the belts on the line? I mean, could you possibly get that and then concentrate more with the women for night one?
Well, I think Triple H does not want to, do that Vince McMahon kind of thinking of like unify the titles, because how many times do you want to unify those belts?
Don't unify it, like still have them separate, but Roman has to be on Raw and SmackDown, basically.
Again,
he does do that anyway.
They already did that with Roman Reigns with the 3.5-year run, so they don't want to do that again. So yeah, they don't want to do that again. Triple H learned from that mistake.
Right. I mean, it's very intriguing. His elaborate also says a lot of the marks were saying it was Jericho's in the guy in the black hoodie, and I was like, "What the fuck are you smoking?" I totally agree. It wasn't fucking Jericho. he wouldn't be able to do such a great stomp like
I mean that's California. California weed is good. I'm just saying,
it's real good.
California weed makes you really think about some really ridiculous shit.
Absolutely, but also people thought it was even Orton, but there's no way Orton could pull that move off that smooth. That's not his style, in my opinion.
If Orton was under that mask, Jimmy, then he would have attacked Cody.
Right, exactly.
That would have made sense. Mm-hmm.
It definitely has to be Austin Theory, as Arakara Blue says. I mean, there's no one else to really think of at this point because it makes sense if it was Theory. But we'll see.
Again, again, it's predictable, but predictable is safe. If the Masked Man would have been Orton, again, you see who he attacked. Punk got attacked. That's vision oriented, right?
Right.
If the Masked Man attacked Cody, then we could have been like, oh, wait a minute, maybe it is Orton. But then Orton can't do the fucking curb stomp. He would do a kick in the head. That's where, again, you got to do a little bit. That's probably the unpredictability that people needed. You know what I'm saying, Jimmy? That would have been like, oh my God, you want to, because I think you and me probably agree with this. Why haven't they done the Randy Orton kind of like heelish turn against Cody? Because he wants that belt. He wants to be a 15-time champion, shit like that. He feels, that greed of being the champion, being the best. You got to beat your best friend. It's fair. It tells that story.
Right. I have no idea why they haven't done that yet. Maybe we will get it eventually. And maybe that could be the night one WrestleMania main event or night two, whatever they choose. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Right now, he's with Osho Speed, obviously, training him or whatever he's doing. But Tim Cooper brings up something interesting. And I believe, I'll tell you his status in a minute, but he says, how about Buddy Matthews under the mask? What is his AEW status? First of all, that would make sense because of the history with Rollins. So that would make absolute. Isn't that where the Visionary started?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was then with Buddy that the Visionary.
It was him, Buddy Matthews, and the Authors of Pain.
Right. That when that sort of gimmick really started, and the Visionary, he was like Jesus.
I can answer that question. See Andrade.
He signed a multi-year contract, by the way.
Yeah, he's not doing that shit. He's not being under a mask. See Andrade, and Tony Khan Tony Khan would know that's Buddy Matthews and be like, yo, we gotta sue you. You ain't doing that shit.
Well, and not just that, I could have sworn he signed a multi-deal about not even a year ago. More recently, he announced that he signed a multi-year deal to stay with AEW. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened with him. So I don't see it being him, even though it would be great. And maybe he would love to go back to WWE, but
well, he's injured, so let it play out first.
Right. Plus, he did want to leave AEW initially. A couple of years ago, if you remember, him and Aleister Black both actually requested for their releases, but got knocked back. If you remember.
Well, they had injury time that they had to kind of amend. So
right. Well,
that's what they did there.
It'd be cool if it was, because he did look pretty jacked. Boston Theory's pretty jacked too. So I'll say
Rhea would be happy with him back, but again, Buddy is his own man, so I don't see him. He's got unfinished business in AEW still, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
And the money's there. The money's still coming in, so can't beat that.
Idiot not to take the money. Let's be honest. Well, Prof, that's pretty much the show. So in saying that, if you had to give it 500 out of 500 face slaps, what would you give it as a score?
What is the best in the slaps? The best is 5,
obviously. Right, yeah.
Well, it's definitely not a 5 because if I complained about breaks and shit like that, so
yeah.
I'll give it 2.5. I think the breaks make 2.5 because the breaks suck. Again, 4 matches in today's generation is not enough. You could have added a US Open challenge. You can add promo spots and promo interviews to keep it a good, fluid, flowing show. That's what I need. Again, the matches it is what it is on the match side, but again, they give you small portions and they leave you hungry for more. So again, 2.5, 3 the most, but I'm going to go with 2.5 slaps.
I was going to say the exact same thing, 2.5 for me. It wasn't the greatest show, but it wasn't a bad show either. I mean, really, I wasn't left like, oh, what a shit house show. I was just like, I was entertained for the most part, but it wasn't one of the better PLEs, which is kind of disappointing considering Survivor Series should be, it's one of the big 4 pay-per-views, man, or PLEs, whatever you want to call it. It could have been better, but I actually think the pay-per-view of the year so far was actually the Perth Crown Jewel, to be honest. If
we're going with pay-per-views of the year for WWE purposes, I go with Evolution, the Women's Evolution show.
Ooh, interesting. Well, we'll get to that when we have our end of year show for that in December. At the end of December, obviously this month, it's December for me anyway. Well, Prof, that was Survivor Series. So just tell them what you're up to. I know you've already said on the wreckage, but you might as well remind everybody what's going on with you, man.
Well, follow my YouTube channel, Tommy Nice. Subscribe at Pro Wrestling Reflection for the most nostalgic podcast out there with myself and the Tommy Wonder. We just dropped an episode, Global Wrestling Federation Supercar from 1992, the Bounty storyline involving Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Going back and watching old wrestling shows, Tommy Nice, you could appreciate the simplicities of storylines like that with today's wrestling right now and be like, what the hell are y'all thinking? But you know what? It started somewhere, so you have to see that. So again, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Pro Wrestling Reflection, or follow me on my Twitter at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOProf with myself and the Tommy Wonder for the Pro Wrestling Reflection.
Beautiful, perfectly put. As far as I go, look out for Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. It is I Like It Raw with myself and Big Ray Hernandez, where we'll be talking all things Monday Night Raw, which I'm looking forward to see the fallout of Survivor Series. Look out for that. Also, the Smack Attack will be back next week, and hopefully at the normal time. I'd rather do it after the show finishes, but if it's not then, it'll be the next morning that we used to do it at around 11 a.m. Stay tuned for that. And of course, Wreckage with myself, the Professor, and of course, the Vet. So look out for that 11 a.m. Eastern every Sundays. And if you want to follow me on the Twitter, you can at the PWC Network. Arakara Blue says before we go, yo, Jimmy T, if you haven't seen it, great show. I'm sure. Wait, which show are you talking about? By the way, as in Enlighten Me. But anyway, in saying that, Prof, let's take it.
Well, the Wreckage is a great show. The Pro Wrestling Reflection is a great show. I Like It Raw is a great show. Next Level is a great show. So there's a lot of great shows for the Hami Media Group.
There's a lot of great shows right here. And speaking of that, please like and subscribe right here at Hami Media Group. We very much appreciate it. Thank you. You guys have been pushing our numbers up, and just keep spreading us out there, man. We'd like for everybody to hear us and check us out, because I know if they tune in, they will definitely love the shows. So continue to do that. Spread the word. We will very much appreciate it. And that's about it. So in saying that, I am Jimmy T. He is the Professor and the glorious Chabelo Vera Cruz. And you've been listening and watching the HMG Survivor Series WarGames edition of the show. And also check out right now, I'm pretty sure Brandon's going to be doing his watch along right after we finish right here with the show. So stay tuned for that. In saying that, peace out and see you next time. See yous.
Him or him a fish. A few things I keep a bad bitch in a pistol. A pocket full of chicken, gray flag in my denim, in a fast four car, puts the gas price a limit. I know on the back streets from Dago to Southeast. I be weighing Ocean Side all the way to High B. I'm a San Diego nigga, he can hear when I speak. Live right there by the water, but I barely see the beach on me. I'm from EAYGO, from Palm City all the way to Cedro. The president trying to take my amigos, but we all gotta stick to the G code. All the fresas be a negro durazo. Trying to make the narcos by them a taco. Marisco truck be parked on the avenue. It ain't Dago without the Mexicans, fool.
I'm from the east motherfucking Dago, my default block. Little neighborhood 4446, the Lil Park. Nigga, we the richest, I'm a legend in my district. I went from flipping chickens to owning the fucking business. And real estate, real effect, don't ever try to figure or question the gangster of an East Dago nigga. My section been repping all them ED intersections. Bring up ED, I bet they know who Lil Shazzy is.